Money and the power. I knew who Lil J was before I met him. Or put it this way, I had heard the name. We all had. His real name was James Smith, but everybody called him Lil J, and he was a hero of Houston's North Side. But on the South Side, my side, Smitty was the man. Smitty was a buddy of mine I had met around the way, just through the circles I was running in, and he had a huge impact on my life. He used to come and pick me up in his white Benz with the blue leather interior when I was still living at my grandma's house. That shit was dope. I had never seen anything like it because we were so hood, but Smitty was doing it. He was big time. He'd always broke me off with $100 bills and take me partying and shit. I remember he even bought me some troops once. He ended up getting killed though. Shot through the mouth with a carbon 15. But that's another story. I actually thought Bushwick Bill was Lil J when I first met him. See, back then, James had a couple of businesses on the north side. The used car lot that inspired the Rap-A-Lot name, and a big nightclub called the Rhinestone Wrangler. We didn't hang out at the Rhinestone too tough because it was on the other side of town, and there was a lot of mistrust between the north side and the south side even then. But the Rhinestone Wrangler was where it was at. All of the big acts that came through town would play there. De La Soul, Slick Rick, Dana Dane. If you wanted to see a big hip-hop act in Houston in the 80s, you had to go to the Rhinestone. Well, so I'm at the Rhinestone one night and I see this little dude. I'm talking not even 4 feet tall, sitting at the bar chatting up some chick. And I hear him tell her he's Lil J. So I figured, well, damn. That probably is Lil J. Of course, it didn't take me too long to find out that wasn't James Smith. That was Bushwick Bill. Bill didn't own the Rhinestone. He worked there as a busboy. And while he's definitely a small dude, he just as sure ain't no Lil J. Not by a long shot. I didn't meet the real Lil J until later, after I recorded the song Scarface for Lil Troy and Shortstop. Beto and I had been hustling, trying to find out how to break into the music game. In 1986, we hooked up with a little local outfit, H-Town Records, to lay down a song I'd done called Big Time. I recorded it under the name DJ Action, and we were excited. Finally, we were going to get my music out there and start to make some noise. But then Jesse, who ran H-Town, came back from the record plant with the song on these little 45s. Man, Beto was mad as hell, screaming on Jesse like, "You can't put our shit out on a 45? What are we going to look like coming out on a 45? That's some rock shit, man. What's wrong with you?" Well, shit. It wasn't too long after that Beto suggested we should go ahead and do a couple of records with Troy and see how they turned out. I was with it. Troy was just starting to try to get Shortstop off the ground, and anything to get my shit out there sounded like a good plan to me. I was still recording as DJ Action, but I had written a song called Scarface, based on all of the shit that we'd been doing in the streets. I actually hadn't even seen the movie when I wrote the song, but when the people in the hood would hear about all of the crazy, ruthless shit we'd been up to, they'd say shit like, "I can't believe y'all did that shit. That shit's straight out of the Scarface movie." So I just ran with that and made the line, "Just call me Scarface," the hook. I already knew we weren't to be fucked with. Al Pacino just gave me a character everyone knew to build on and really let it be known. Once we had the record, I took it to Steve Fournier. Steve was this real cool white dude from Houston who DJ'd at the Rhinestone and had started this thing called the Rap Pool of America, which was this giant record pool he'd created to hook up DJs around the country with the hottest hip-hop records as soon as they came out. Thank God for Steve Fournier. He took the record to Rap-A-Lot and played it for James. I'd actually tried to get on Rap-A-Lot a few months before we cut the song, but they weren't into the records I'd played for them. They told me straight up, "This is not what we're looking for." But with Scarface, it was different. Jay was into that gangster shit, and he started coming down to the south side, combing the streets looking for me. It was only a matter of time before he found us. Me and Beto had a little townhouse. And the day Jay rolled through, he pulled up in a white blacktop 560 Benz convertible. He came in there looking like Slick Rick, but instead of gold, he was draped in diamonds. He was iced out before everyone was iced out, with a big diamond chain and one big diamond-encrusted Rolex. That motherfucker was 22 years old, and he was shining. As soon as you saw him, you could tell he had it all. The cribs, the bitches, the cars. I was 16 when I met him, and he was already sitting on 30 acres with horses and a crib with an elevator in it and marble floors and double doors everywhere. He was so far ahead of us even then. From that day on, I was sold. That was my role model. I wanted to do whatever it took to get that. I wanted to be like Jay. I don't think Jay knew I had the work in that townhouse, but if he did, he didn't say shit. He didn't want to talk dope. He wanted to talk music. See, Jay was smart at a young age. He came over to the South Side and did something that nobody else was willing to do. He went and got deals and got money and got acts. If you're not from Houston, it's hard to really explain just how divided the city was then. Nobody I grew up with was cool with North Side niggas like that. I don't know where it came from, but we despised everybody who wasn't from our side of town. Niggas, bitches, everybody. To us, the North Side was a completely different culture, almost like being from a completely different city. And the niggas on the North Side saw it the same way. They wanted to make their cars go fast, and we wanted to ride slow and pop doors with elbows and Vogues and candy paint. They wore their hair in braids. We rocked fades. It was just different. Even right now, there's still distrust. I think a lot of shit just went down between the North Side and the South Side over the years, and we all lost a lot of friends. It's like Crips and Bloods in LA, but we don't have colors. So for Jay to be in that townhouse talking to us about joining up and making a real play, that shit was unheard of. But Jay had a vision, and what he saw was light years ahead of what anyone else was thinking at the time. As for me, I just wanted to rap. I already felt like shit was kind of fucked up for me at Shortstop. Around the same time that we recorded Scarface, Shortstop had recorded another song with another rapper Beto had been working with, Lord 32. He would go on to be known as Mr. 32 and record with Big Mike and the Convicts. But back then, we were just two kids trying to get on. The streets were going crazy around the Scarface record, but Troy didn't like it as much as he liked 32's song, which kind of sounded like an early version of the DOC's It's Funky Enough. When Shortstop got behind 3-2, it put a sour taste in my mouth. I was never interested in being considered second best, so I was trying to get out of the way. Beto and I were still recording, and James would come by every now and then to hear what we were putting down. And eventually Jay and Beto talked, and Jay went to talk to Troy. Of course, after Jay started showing interest in me, Troy and Shortstop didn't want to let me go. But I had never signed anything with Shortstop. They could try to lay whatever claim they wanted to, but in the end, there wasn't anything they could do to stop me from making a move. I don't know what Jay and Troy worked out in the end, but whatever it was, I wasn't mad at it. On August 18th, 1987, I signed to Rap-A-Lot Records as a solo artist. It was my first record contract. I was 16 years old.
For more of these fascinating stories and true crimes, subscribe to Charles Arnis World. Thanks for watching.
So, Dre responded. Never mind then. Gold nowadays can't recall the occasion when Dre initially used the term, but it first appeared in print on March 25, 1989, when Los Angeles Times pop music critic Robert Hilburn described an NWA concert in Anaheim. Ice-T, who helped popularize the LA gangster rap image, was the
For more of these fascinating stories and true crimes,
subscribe to Charles Arnis World. Thanks for watching.